Hello friends! Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. We have a very special guest today. Please welcome Mr. Chad Drummond.
Hi.
Do you want to give a quick intro of yourself? Who are you? What do you do?
Sir, I'm Chad Drummond. I'm one of the instructors at the Galvanized campuses. That's where I met my friend CJ over here.
Yes.
And that's all I have for you.
Cool. I'll play the intro and then we'll get to coding. With CJ and Chad. Sweet. All right, so in this episode, we are going to be building a real-time question and answer app. So I guess, Chad, if you could kind of describe the problem. So you have an existing app. We're kind of just going to be rewriting it from scratch. Could you maybe show the app or show your list of it? Yeah.
So originally I wrote this app called Everybody Writes. It allows us to have a chat room where multiple students can join. It's all under real time so that we can see what they're writing, they can see what we're writing. And when we have that, it allows us to kind of peek into what they're writing along the way. Let's see what CJ's writing right now. Console logging. He's console logging some stuff out.
Hello.
So the idea is I can see what they're thinking, I can understand their thought process, and I want to take it and convert it to a Feathers app, because FeathersJS, right now it's just a basic socket IO with ES6, and it's getting a little bit out of control. The code is not organized. Nothing's being saved. Everything is just in real-time data, and then it's all being lost. So we're going to convert it over to FeathersJS, which will allow us to save the data, keep the real-time nature, add GitHub authentication. That's one of the new features that I want to add to it as well, so you don't join the room and tell me your name is poop. But this
Awesome.
will allow us to do a lot more.
Sweet. So that is the problem. So I've built a couple of apps with FeathersJS. And I guess let me just bring up Feathers real quick. Oh, actually, let me make sure. Yeah, cool. So FeathersJS is a real-time API layer for modern applications. Essentially, it's written on top of Express. So it uses Express under the hood, but it's essentially Express but with things in specific folders and things done a very specific way. And out of the box, you get real-time socket IO connections with stuff. So they have like a CLI client, which will let you generate an app. You can generate services, which automatically create models for your database and all that good stuff. So we are going to be using this. What else? Yeah, so for the architecture, we're essentially going to have several different services. Each is a different, essentially, document store. We're going to be using Mongo. So we'll have our users. We're going to have authentication. We'll also have rooms. So think of a room as like you go to the app, you create a room, and then inside of that room, you can have many different users and then ask many different questions. Each question can have a different answer from all the different users. So you have your room, which has the specific owner ID. That's the person that created it. You have your array of user IDs, that's all of the users that have joined, and then also the current question. So like, what is the current thing that's been asked? A question will have a room ID and then just the text of the question. And then answers will have the question ID, which they're tied to, the user ID that's answering, and then the text of that answer. So pretty basic stuff. Thoughts or questions on this architecture, Chad?
It's new to me. Let's do it.
Sweet. Yeah, so let's write some code. I think we'll start by, so if you didn't know, I broke my wrist like 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to be doing minimal typing, and I will be the navigator, Chad will be the driver, and we'll just kind of code this app together. So this is Chad's screen, and I guess we should generate the app.
Kick off a Feathers app?
Yeah, so find a folder and let's generate the app.
I've already made one. What is the command again? Feathers?
Feathers G app. And make sure you're in an empty folder.
I am.
Okay.
Okay, I just called it stream. G app.
I think.
Project name, what do we want to call it?
Everybody writes?
It's so common.
Yeah.
Everybody writes. Description. Everybody writes.
Mm-hmm.
Source files.
Default.
You're a Yarn guy.
I have been using Yarn lately, but I'm okay with either. Do you have Yarn on your machine?
I do.
Cool.
Let's go with Yarn.
Yeah.
Don't want REST.
I would check it.
Yeah?
Yeah, just because like if you ever do want to make a
Okay.
a REST request to get all answers or something like that, you still can.
Good idea.
Yeah. And it's happening.
What's happening?
So if you're watching live, throw a message in the chat, say hello.
All right.
Sweet. So this is the Feathers generated app. Let's start it up. If you look at the package JSON, oh yeah, I think it does say npm start. Actually, let's install nodemon in here so the thing will auto refresh when we change files.
I have it globally. Should we just use that, or you
well-
mean in the package?
We'll add it as a dev dependency.
Where is our? Can't I just change this?
You could, but then it would be required that every person that downloads this has it installed globally. So if we install it as a dev dependency, then it will just work on anybody's machine. We're learning stuff.
We're learning.
Okay, do an npm install dash save dev, save it as a dev dependency, nodemon.
Nodemon.
Oh, Brooks is watching. Hey, Brooks.
Hey, Brooks.
Sweet.
Okay.
So that should be
No,
listed.
I can change this one, right?
Well, actually, let's create a new one. So start should just be node, and then just add like a dev script that's nodemon. Call it.
Startmon.
Oh, sure. Yeah, whatever you like. Nodemon src / Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in the terminal, just do npm run startmon.
Run startmon. That's how I hear it in my head.
Sweet. Yeah, so by default, it's localhost 3030, and we've got a Feathers app. Sweet.
Beautiful.
Okay, first thing is we will add authentication, because by adding it first, then every service we add after that will automatically have auth attached onto it.
Okay.
So do Feathers, open a new tab.
Feathers.
Feathers G authentication.
Spell that right?
I think so. Cool. Uncheck local, and let's just do GitHub. Yep. Name of the service, users. That's cool with me.
Okay.
Let's use Mongoose.
Oh, we actually selected different, huh?
Yep. Do you
Everybody writes.
Yeah. Do you
I'll
have?
have to
Do you have?
create one.
Do you have?
Do I make
Well,
it?
it'll get created automatically when it
Okay.
connects.
I
Do
do
you
have it
You have
locally.
it running locally?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I think.
Welcome, Wemo. So Wemo says he's never built any, or she has never built any real-time apps. I hope this is interesting. We'll see.
Let's see.
Yeah, we're gonna try our best. Awesome. So we now have an app that connects to a Mongo database and allows users to log in with GitHub. How awesome is that? So here's what we need to do. Go to your source code. And let's, for the people that have never seen Feathers before, let's kind of just like walk through this source
Check
directory.
out this structure.
Yeah.
Can you see
Structory, is that what you said?
Oh, look at,
Ooh,
look
what do you
at
have
that.
there? That's great.
that's my shortcut that I use when I share on the big screen.
I like it.
Yeah.
So let's look at app.js. I think that's the entry point. Oh, actually, index.js might be the entry point.
Oops.
Yeah, so this brings in the app file, and this is what will actually so this does app.listen and kind of like bootstraps the app. And if we look at app.js, this is essentially just an Express app with lots of middlewares and lots of stuff brought in by default.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it automatically has cores configured. It has Helmet, which is a package that adds all of the secure headers.
Security.
Yeah, headers.
Helmet, that's cute.
Yeah, so it's, make sure you wear a helmet. Compression, express.json, is that... Oh my goodness, I've never seen that. Is that built-in body parsing? That's built into Express?
Is there a new version now? What are we on? Express
Let's look at the
3 or 4?
look at the package JSON, because I did not know that body parsing was built into Express.
Where?
Ooh, it's Feathers Express. So it's a specific version of Express from Feathers. That's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the app.js again. Yep, so express.res, I'm guessing. So the Express in this case is like a custom version from Feathers that's has all of its middleware in there. Very interesting. And if you look at, and Express is brought in from FeathersJS/Express. So it's like a modified version of Express.
Yeah. Okay.
Got our static serve. We're using REST. We're using socket.io. It configures Mongoose. All that good stuff. All of that's happening.
It's our authentication.
Yeah, and I believe if you scroll up, that is brought in from the authentication file, which we can look at next.
Right here?
Yep. And so when we just did the generate authentication, it did this. By default, it uses JOTs, JWTs, JSON Web Tokens, 3 different ways to say it. Sweet. And by default, it has it set up for GitHub. And you'll notice it's using config.github. So in a second, I'll show where we can actually add our client ID and client secret to set up GitHub off.
That was a problem I had when I set it up. I remember now.
It was like, how do you get
you had to hard code it in there, or you have to get getting my environment variables in there was weird.
Yeah. So I'll show how we can do it with environment variables, and yeah. So Feathers has this idea of hooks, and the idea is like every service has lots of different hooks. So let's go into services, and then I believe it generated the user service. Yeah, so go in there, and then look at like users.hooks. So the idea is you have before hooks and after hooks, and you can essentially write a custom middleware that will run before or after any one of these things happens on the service. So like before you find a user, it's going to authenticate JWT, meaning you have to be logged in to be able to do any of these different things. But you'll notice create doesn't have that because you don't have to be logged in to create, because creating is essentially like signing up for the app.
Creating a new user.
Yeah, creating a new user.
Patch. Each of them they have update and patch.
I believe update is when you send all of
everything.
Yeah,
right?
send all of the fields,
Okay.
and then patch is you're only updating a specific column. Cool. Yeah, and you have hooks for errors too. All right, let's check out. Actually, if you go to channels.js, that's like the built-in at the root of source. Yeah, that's like the built-in socket stuff. We're actually not going to be using. At least that's what I've decided. Like, we're going to try to build this using just services, and by default, services allow you to listen for like when a new document was created in the database, or when the document was updated, or when one was deleted. So essentially, by having like a room service and a question service, we won't really need to mess with any like low-level sockets. We'll just be able to tap into those events, which will be sweet.
We'll still use the channels though to connect all the users together into one channel, right?
I don't think so.
Really?
So I'm thinking. So I don't think you can see this, Chad, but I'm gonna switch over to my documentation. So our rooms collection will essentially have an array of users, and that will be the users that have joined that room.
Oh, because their updates are getting written to the database?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It should work. I don't know. Cool. Let's look at the config. So if you go to that top config folder, yeah, and then look at default. So this is all the configuration. The cool thing about Feathers is it has pagination by default. If you scroll up to the top, one thing I like to do is make this a little bit bigger. Like, I always forget that it's paginating, and like by default you only get back 10 records.
That's not that much.
Yeah,
cool.
let's make it 100, and then max is 100, I guess. So by default, if there are ever more rows than 100 in that collection, you'll have to request the second page. So that's our auth secret. We will put this in an environment variable. Yeah, so grab that out. And the cool thing about this config file is you can just, you don't have to do that because this is JSON.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So because this is JSON, you just put the name of an environment variable inside the double quotes. So let's just do like all caps auth underscore secret. And then if there is an environment variable with that name, it'll get loaded into here.
I forgot about that.
So let's create a .env, at the root.
Auth secret, is that what we call it?
Secret, yes.
Okay.
So Brooks is asking what version of what version of Express is Feathers based on? Let's find out. I am also very curious. I think it's, it's FeathersJS. I can do this. /express on npm. Feathers, Express, Framework Bindings, and REST Provider. I guess we could look at the dependencies, which is Express. Let's look at the actual GitHub repo. We can see what version of Express is in the package.json. 4.16.2. Was that the latest? Yeah, 4.16.3, and it has the caret, so it will pull in the latest one. So Feathers is dependent on the latest version of Express, so that's pretty cool. Good to know. I know, so Feathers is like a framework wrapper around Express. There's also one called SalesJS. This for a while was like using Express version 3. I believe they have now updated to Express version 4, but it's good to know with Feathers we are using the latest version. So Michael Lavin says, hello there, Chad.
Hey there, Mackle.
Mackle?
Mackle.
Michael.
I used to use Sales.js, and I ran into a lot of bugs with it.
It
was great.
I tried it once. It seemed very opinionative. I think it's like very similar to Ruby on Rails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, where were we? We're creating more environment variables. So if you scroll down, let's first let's update.
Am I in the right file here?
Yeah, in that. Yeah,
the
so
GitHub ones.
your client ID here. So basically, just put the name of an environment variable, like GitHub client ID.
Client ID.
Yeah. Client.
Client secrets.
Yeah, that's sure.
Okay.
And then let's also put while we're here, let's put the mongodb connection in an environment variable. So like when we deploy. Yeah. Mongo_URI is I think how Heroku does it. Right? Maybe MongoDB URI.
MongoDB.
We can always update it. But.
Okay.
Emmy says very cool with 2 people. I think so too. This is gonna be fun. MongoDB_URI.
Increase the cost though, twice the LaCroix.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, cheers to the LaCroix. LaCroix.
Our sponsor. Right?
One day, yeah. When I get a few thousand subscribers, I'm going to reach out to LaCroix and say, hey, I am plugging your brand all the time. Send me some cases.
I know it's hard to read the label, but I swear it's your brand.
Yeah, so I'm drinking apricot today, and Chad's drinking orange.
GitHub client secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to GitHub. Oh, no, wait, not GitHub. MongoDB Yuri?
Yuri, there we go.
Okay.
That goes there. And so now we should install the .env package.
Okay.
And essentially we'll bring it into app.js. And because that gets loaded before the config gets loaded, the config will be able to see all of our environment variables.
That's dev, right?
No. Well.
Oh, yeah.
Because it isn't necessarily needed
to load it
on
the server, on the production server, though.
Yeah, because you're going to be requiring it in. You don't want to get like a package not found.
Yeah.
However, there will be no .env file on the server because it's all actual environment variables.
True.
Yeah, so Jamie in the chat is asking why there is no need to declare process.env. So this is a special thing with FeathersJS. So essentially, this JSON file is loaded in by FeathersJS, and if it essentially if it sees a value on here that is an environment variable, it automatically loads that in for you. So because this is a JSON file, we don't have access to process.env, and all that is handled by Feathers. So essentially, you put an environment variable name in there, and Feathers will automatically load it in.
I wonder if it does checks on like if you have something like jot in there or users.
I think it might. I think it might be like load all the environment variables in, and then anywhere in here where it has the same name as an environment variable, it will replace it with the actual value.
Risky.
Yeah. We could probably look at their source code to see how they do it, but I think it's something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so we just installed .env.
Mm-hmm.
So in app.js, let's bring it in. So I would bring it in at least on line 12. Actually, check this out. Line 12.
Woohoo! Yeah. I was going to say you were pointing at your screen.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Right about there. Config. Repair programming. Okay. I caught it.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks. Throw a semicolon on there. Yeah. So can we look at the ESLint RC? I'm gonna see what what it's using.
I don't think mine follows it by default because I don't turn linter on.
Okay.
I find it very distracting.
Turn it on.
Okay. How do I do that?
Cassandra Ray says, hi friends. Hey Cassandra, how you doing?
Hi Goose.
Goose.
How do I...
Go to Packages and search for ESLint. Do you have it installed? Yeah, so scroll down, turn on your... Scroll up. You want to turn on linter. I guess you don't have ESLint installed. Let's install it.
Okay.
We're doing it right. We're pair programming.
We're doing what CJ says. He's our leader.
This is my live stream.
Yes.
Yeah, install that guy.
Linter ESLint.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've used the linter, they've got a whole new version. Nice.
Okay.
Installing.
Cassandra is great. This is cool. We rock. Sweet. So that's installed. Try just like closing all your files and then open app.js up and see if it complains about like a missing semicolon.
We only have that one line though, right?
Yeah, just get rid of it.
We nailed it there.
Get rid of it and see if the error pops up though. Well, just the semicolon.
Do I have to restart, you think?
I'll try it, yeah. Whoa.
Quitting.
Trying?
That doesn't, there it goes.
Okay.
You still using Atom?
I am. I use VS Code for a little bit. I haven't switched entirely yet. Ugh, it's not showing an error. Oh well.
Do I have to enable it?
It should be enabled by default. Search for ESLint. Because I think by default, if it finds an ESLint RC JSON in your root, it will.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Oh well. It was worth a try.
Yeah.
I will be your linter.
Yes.
Semicolon.
Thank
you. Sweet. Okay, so we're bringing in our .env. I think the next thing we should do is
create a GitHub app?
Yeah, so go create a GitHub app and grab the client ID and secret, and I will hide his screen while he does that.
Okay.
Actually, for all of you that are watching, I have an announcement. If you go to poll.coding.garden, you can log in with Google. I think my app will have to spin up just real quick. I've created a custom live poll. You might have seen that I had that poll where you could vote on new videos, but some people were logging in with like 10 different accounts. Oh man, I can't use this browser. Oh well, just a second. Let me show you this. Michael Miller is asking why I'm switching to VS Code. I do a lot of development with Vue.js, and they have a fantastic plugin suite for VS Code, which has all kinds of autocomplete and suggestions and formatting and like intelligent suggestions inside of VS Code for Vue.js. And there's this package called VTAR, I think is what it's called, and it just makes writing Vue.js awesome. And it doesn't exist for Atom yet, so I've been using that every now and then with VS Code. For a while, I didn't use VS Code because all of my Atom keyboard shortcuts didn't work by default, but I've gradually figured out how to get VS Code to work like Atom. But yeah, as I was mentioning though, Wemo says it's funny because he uses double quotes and no semicolons. Yeah, so you would not like the linter file that is using right now. Yeah, so about the poll, it's I'll share it in the chat. Poll.coding.garden. You'll have to log in with Google. I only request your just your email. I'm not requesting any other privileges or anything like that. And once you've logged in, you can suggest a new video. So I might do a video on auth with vanilla.js. And once you've added it as a suggestion, other people can come in here and heart it to upvote that thing. And I'll use this to decide like what videos I make next. I do have that existing poll, but like I said, some people were gaming the system, so this uses authentication. If you have multiple Google accounts, feel free to use those and vote a bunch, but try to be honest. Cool, are you ready?
I think it's worth the effort if you can put more. Create multiple Google accounts. And
you can vote
that counts as
times.
one extra vote.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So you created a... could you show real quick how you would create a Google app? You don't have to show your client ID in secret, but just show like on GitHub how you do that.
Yes.
Wait, is it hidden? Make sure it's hidden.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you though?
Well, I'm not showing anything important.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so when you're logged into your GitHub, you can go up to the top profile, or your little profile drop down there, go to settings, and then on the left you can do developer settings, or if you want to create it under an organization, which I just learned recently. I used to create them under mine, and then I realized I could actually create this under an organization.
Yeah.
So if you're building one for your company, it'll look more legit rather than Chad D wants to auth your GitHub account for something.
Kim's in the chat. She says hi. Hey Kim.
Hey Kimmy.
Welcome.
So you go to your developer settings, hit new OAuth app. You can see I got them in here. This is the one that I just created. Everybody writes.
Right.
I think a lot of these other ones are just dead by now, but they could probably be cleaned out. New OAuth app. You got to give it a name. A homepage URL. In this case, we might have to update that later on. I don't remember what it is, but
yeah.
I just set it to 3030. That was our local Feathers URL. Give a description if you want that. Authorization callback URL. This is what will change from time to time. So,
but by default with GitHub OAuth in Feathers, it's auth/callback/GitHub.
is it?
Oh no, it's auth/.
I guessed that. I was like,
You're wrong though. It's auth/GitHub/callback.
That was close though.
But you can update it. But once you create this app, you'll get access to a client ID in secret, and that's what you're gonna want to put in your .env file.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And I've done that already.
So Chad has done that, and you can't see it because it's private.
Done. No more.
But it's in there. Actually, I'm gonna hide your screen again. Can you go in and update your callback URL? So it should be auth/GitHub/callback.
Okay. Updated.
Sweet. So let's test it. So if you go to localhost 3030 / auth/GitHub/call, just auth/GitHub.
Yeah, auth/GitHub, right?
Oh no. Oh, you might need to restart your Feathers app because you updated your .env.
I did. You're right.
Okay.
Oh no.
Kill it.
But we're on. Whatever. Start. There we go.
So everybody writes by Chad with a C wants to access your GitHub account. Limited access to your public data.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but don't authorize this just yet because
Okay.
let's go to the code real quick. I want to show the models that Feathers generates. So if you go into models, it would have created a user's model. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And by default, this has a GitHub ID. I guess that's all. Well, actually, I think we want to bring in like GitHub display name too, right? Like.
Yeah, I saw that we can do that. We can do the hooks, right?
Yeah, so we'll create a hook that also brings that in.
Okay.
So let's do this. Right above GitHub ID, do like display name. You can do dash case, or.
I saw you write them like that earlier, so I'll keep it.
Cool. Let's do type as a string. And let's also make these required. So this is a Mongoose thing. We can look at their docs in a second. But if you say required : true, that means you cannot create a user that does not have a display name, and also can't create a user that doesn't have a GitHub ID. Can you think of anything else that a user is going to need?
No, not right away.
Okay.
I want one.
Yes, LaCroix break. That's great. Now let's tap into a hook. So if you go to users.hooks, under services, users.hooks, and so essentially before create, so we're going to create a function. So right there, put like
grab user data.
Sure, yeah, give it a good name. Grab.
Give it a good name.
Grab user data, and then don't invoke it.
Oh.
Yeah, because
we're passing it.
Yeah, we'll pass it in. And so then right above there, let's create a function called grab user data. And this function accepts a thing called a context. So this is so the first parameter will be context. This is a FeathersJS concept. And essentially any one of your hook functions get access to the context so that it can modify it. And in this case, our context will be like the user that's logging into GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
just going to write it down.
Well, it'll have the GitHub data.
Okay.
Let's just do return promise.reject because I want this to fail because I don't want anything to get inserted into the database.
Mm-hmm.
But right above that, let's log context.github. Whoa.
My log doesn't work right. I have
type log? That's the one.
Yeah, but I think I have like emit on to just write.
It's like JSX. JSX. Okay.
So I like to write my console logs out long. I like my logs long.
Okay. So log.
What was I logging?
Context.github.
Context.github.
Yes, and so this should be all of the GitHub user data that got grabbed when that user is logging in. So
okay.
That's good to go.
Now authenticate.
Yes. Let's see what happens. It should fail. Yeah, something went wrong.
Oh no!
Because we did promise.reject.
Undefined. Should just do context.
Yeah, let's just log context and see what properties are there.
Let's just throw the context in there. Okay, reboot.
And try to go to auth/GitHub again. It should just automatically redirect because we've already allowed it. Now go to the console. Whoa, lots of stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to the top. Oops. Data.
Context.data.github.
You would. Okay.
Yeah.
GitHub ID and GitHub, and there's profile in there. Okay.
Yes. So essentially, context.data is the thing that's going to be inserted into the database. So log context.data.github.
Oops.
Yeah.
That's not right.
And essentially, because we want to also add the display name, we're going to grab that from GitHub, put it on data, and that will get inserted into the database.
I think I can just refresh this.
No, it's got to be auth/GitHub because it's got to do the whole flow.
New flow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is. And if you
That's a lot of info.
scroll all the way to the top. Keep going.
Oh man, there's the raw data.
There's display name. So it's going to be, it'll be
name.
profile.display name.
Should we use their username or their display name? We'll use their display name because that's what, yeah.
Because like I have mine as like CJR, and if they haven't set a display name, we'll grab the username. How about that?
They have to have one, don't they?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right, so let's write the logic. So in here we'll say if context.data.github, and inside of there we're basically going to say context.data.display name, and I think you did an underscore. This has to match what it is in the
I'm going to set that
in
as
the
something?
model. In the model, yes. So this would be display underscore name.
This is from the GitHub. Oh.
we're creating this.
This is our data.
Yeah, and so we're going to set this equal to context.data.github.profile.displayname, like that.
Like that.
Or
semicolon.
Well, we'll do that. But if that doesn't exist, we'll do username.
Okay.
So just do or context. Actually, let's use destructuring.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is long. Take it out at GitHub, or should I take it out profile?
Let's just
what was the second thing?
Let's
then?
take out GitHub.
GitHub.
So like.
It's called GitHub.
Yeah. So like create a. Oh, what are you doing, Chad? GitHub equals context. You want to wrap that in curlies.
Wrap that there in curlies.
Yeah, and then
remove that.
GitHub on that side. There you go. Chad knows how to program.
I know how to use structuring. I'm all about it.
Amy is asking, is this a common style of pairing? I say we're kind of just like ad hocing it.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, like I'm essentially the what am I? I'm the navigator. I'm the navigator.
Yeah.
Technically, I shouldn't be telling him exactly what to type. I should tell Chad.
He's just boss.
In general terms, what he should do, and he is supposed to figure out how to do it. So here's what you do, Chad. On line number 10, set context.data.displayname to be either the display name from the profile or the username from the profile.
That was username?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll just return context on line 13.
Context.
Semicolon. Semicolon. Okay, so basically what happens is, and we can get rid of the console log on line 5. So when a user is being created, if that GitHub thing exists, essentially it's the data that came back from OAuth with Google. OAuth with GitHub, and then we have access to display name and username, and we're going to take that and put it into the database. All right.
So we put it on this context data.
Yes.
Just so we have access to it in other hooks, or
under the hood, the insert into that document store uses context.data. So like if we let's make this make sense. So if you look at users.model.
So we didn't have to set the GitHub. Do we have to set the GitHub ID too?
That gets automatically set.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the default thing that the GitHub provider sets for us. So by default, it's setting GitHub ID. But if we wanted to set it to be like GitHub_ID, we could update that.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay. But essentially, by setting context.data display name.
We haven't made any yet. Let's change it now.
Okay. But now we need to update the hook to also say you want to set context.data.
GitHub
ID to be github.profile.github ID.
I think it was just GitHub ID.
Well, yeah, that should work then.
Right?
Capital ID. We'll see.
Let me see this log real quick. Oh, profile ID? You're right.
Technically,
it's not the same?
No, what was it? GitHub ID. It did exist, but that got created by this GitHub provider thingy.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so we set those two things, and now because we're returning the context, it should actually insert that user into the database. Yeah.
We're still running?
We're still running, so let's try it. Moment of truth. Boom. Woo. No error. Do you have any sort of graphical Mongo browser?
I do not.
Grab Mongotron.
Did you mean to go down?
Second link, I think.
I didn't know there were any free ones.
Yeah, I use this all the time.
Nice. Alpha. That doesn't sound so good.
It works. There's just a few bugs. Darwin is Mac. See how fast my internet is?
Is that fast? I don't know.
It's decent. I don't know. I'm also streaming right now, so.
Mongotron. Let me move that to my applications.
There you go. Nice. Oh, do command space search for security. jeaious, and then click Open Anyway. Go to General. Open Anyway.
Oh, an Electron app, huh?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, just click on localhost and then click Connect. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Click that. Everybody writes. Collections. Users. There's one.
There's one.
And let's click on it.
But is that the... Oh, yeah, we just made that one.
There it is. Display name and GitHub ID.
Beautiful.
High five.
Wait. Right here. Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Cool. We're logging in. It's that easy. Okay.
We're logged in already.
Yeah, so...
This is cool. I didn't know about this. I'm learning so much.
I'm glad. All right, so we got to figure this out, though. So,
Oops.
Yeah, okay, actually, so on localhost 3030, let's pull up in your DevTools. I believe, by default, it sets a cookie with, like, a token in it.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to Application, and then look at, well, look at local, I don't think local storage. Look at local storage real quick.
Or does it just put the jot? No, it's in cookies.
I think that puts the jot in the yeah. So Feathers JWT. So that is our actual thing. And so now we can create some client code. And the Feathers client has this authenticate call, which will just use that cookie.
Let's peek at it. I always like to peek at jots, see what
Yeah.
they put in it. See what they're trying to hide from us.
So it's storing the user ID, and then like the audience. We can actually update that in our config, because right now it's like your domain.
Yeah.
We could set that to be like everybodywrites.com or something.
True.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So in the source code, in the config folder, under default.json, if you scroll under JWT, yeah, so you can set this to, yeah. Do you have
domain for now?
Does that domain exist?
I don't know.
Jarrell, he's on there. He said woot. Everybodywrites.com. Oh,
Ooh.
it's a book. Lame. You could do like .tech or maybe everybody.writes. I don't know. You can figure it out later.
They're not even using the domain. They redirected to their own domain.
Lame. Very lame.
All right. Well.
Let's update those other fields though. You could do the issuer. Issuer is
How about I just
everybody-writes.com or
I'm just
everybodywrites.herokuapp.com.
That's I have another one right now. Oops.
Are you gonna deploy the same one maybe?
Mine was with a dash normally. I'll just use this one. For
Okay. Subject. Let's just say like log. We can say anything. Logged in.
Logged in? What is, like
Logged.
Is it supposed to be like?
Yeah. Whatever we want. And then the issuer will be Chad, or it could be everybody-writes. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Delete your cookies and then relog in, and it should have all that good stuff. Make sure the server restarted.
Oops. Restart server. Looks fine.
Okay. Clear the cookies. All right. Try to log in.
/GitHub. Okay, we got a new one.
Let's copy it.
Oh, we're trying to look at that info, huh?
Yeah. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, got some good info in there.
It's nice looking info.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. How's about we set up the client now?
Deal.
Okay.
We'll just serve that from the public directory?
I'm thinking so, yeah. So instead of doing like a separate app, we can just create all of our stuff in the public folder. And I think we've decided we're not going to use a framework. We're just going to use ES6.
Bare bones.
Vanilla JS.
Okay. I'll make a JS folder.
Okay. And actually, we can use like import statements and stuff like that because it's supported in Chrome.
Is it?
Yeah, I think we should do that because then we can like define things in separate files and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I don't care. Worst case, later on, I'll go in and add like Babel or something.
Right.
Do you call it Babel or Babel?
I call it Babel.
Babel?
Yeah.
I call it Babel too. Deanne calls it Babel.
Mm. I had a student that called it Babel.
Ah.
Yeah.
Is it E-gay?
No.
What was
Cool.
I doing?
So what do we do
JS
now?
app?
So one thing we need to do is set up a connection to the server. So let's create a file called like feathers.js. And now we're going to need to bring in the Feathers client from a CDN. Yeah. Do you want to use a CDN or do you want to use like npm?
Yeah, we don't have the build tools in because it said if you use the build tools, you can just require it in, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
Let's
Spring
yeah,
is
there was
just
actually I was looking at it in here somewhere.
Under client?
API client usage, or should I go to socket?
Client usage.
I remember seeing it in here somewhere. I have that.
Yeah, because yeah, there's like React Native. This is typically how, because I pretty much only use Feathers with like a Vue app.
There it is. But it says so they include core JS, which gives you some ES6 shems,
Okay.
and then include the Feathers client.
Yeah, so you're gonna need to bring. So if you go into your index.html, let's bring that in. We're also gonna need to bring in socket.io. Go to like cdnjs.com. I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since I set up Webpack from scratch. Do you want to?
Do you want to? It's dangerous.
Okay, yeah, let's just do CDNs. Okay.
That's a whole nother couple of hours.
Yeah,
no,
we'll spend. Yeah.
There's a new version that I don't know.
Webpack 4, is it out?
I haven't. The latest one is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, actually, it's supposed to be easier to use because it's like no config.
That's what they say.
Actually,
every time.
Parcel. I've used that before.
Oh yeah, you have.
I don't want to spend time debugging it.
I kind of like doing it bare bones. I feel raw.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
It's me and the browser connecting. What was I looking
socket.
for? No, we don't need to include socket. That'll come from the server, right? That'll be like. Usually that just comes from.
Slash
socket IO.
Socket.
Slash socket. I don't know.
Let's make sure it exists then. Like just in the browser, go to like localhost 3030 / that.
I think it serves it up somewhere. Where's the docs? Oh, here's some
Yeah,
more.
we'll see because they're pulling it in from. Let's just do that.
Let's just take theirs.
Yeah, take those 3. We already have core. Yeah.
Okay. So are they? Do you think Feathers is doing that socket.io connection?
Oh, we'll have to set
here
that.
it is,
Yeah,
socket.io
we'll. Yeah, so it's bringing in Feathers, socket client. Oh, I see. Core JS is like all the polyfills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so now that we have that in our feathers.js, let's set everything up. So if you go back to the docs, they set up socket.io. So let's copy all of this.
Even with the script?
Oh no, just from from there to just like right there. You don't need the app.service.
Oh, okay. And that's gonna go on our Feathers?
Yeah. And then do export default app at the bottom of it.
This did not end incorrectly. Okay.
Semicolon. So it creates a Feathers client, configures it with socket.io, and then configures authentication. Sweet. So then in app.js, let's import in Feathers. So do import.
Yeah.
Well, let's call it Feathers.
Okay.
From /feathers.
Feathers from Feathers. Sounds nice.
Wallace says socket oi. Did you mean socket.io? Can you look at your code real quick? Did you say socket oi?
In the index?
It is socket.io. Yeah. So
I copy and pasted it.
Okay. So maybe he has a question about like what is socket.io. Let's go to their website real quick.
Let's go.
And so this is actually what,
actually Socket.io?
yeah, Socket.io. So this is what Chad used from scratch when he first built like the initial version of this app. And essentially it allows real-time communication. So Socket.io the Socket.io client is a wrapper around WebSockets, which is like a native browser standard, but not every browser supports WebSockets. So Socket.io will gracefully degrade into like long polling or using like a Flash plugin to essentially allow real-time communication between a client and a server. And essentially what it is
demos.
a persistent connection between client and server. And so yeah, here's like a chat client. And so Brooks is asking, can you use native WebSockets? I think not, because FeathersJS is actually using Socket.io, so they need the specific Socket.io client to be able to connect to the Socket.io server. If we were doing it from scratch, then absolutely we could use like native WebSockets. Are these just like random people on the internet?
I think the admin is a bot.
Oh, okay.
But these other people are, yeah. Hey Landry, what are you up to? Okay, they're not happy.
Yeah, so that's what Socket.io is, and essentially because we're using Feathers, we get it by default. Okay, let's do this. So go into your app.js. We just brought in Feathers, and so now do feathers.authenticate. You spelled Feathers wrong. Feathers. Dot then, and it should give us a callback.
What's it gonna?
Just do like a arrow function, maybe. Yeah, and then just log data.
Or do they give us context again?
Yeah, and then do a dot catch, because I think if like the it wasn't able to log in, yeah, we'll get something, and then just do like a console.error. Yeah.
Oops. Error.
And then let's bring in this app.js into your index.html.
Okay.
Let's see if it works.
Why don't my tabs work correctly? That's in JS / app?
Yeah, app.js, yeah.
Okay.
So let's go to the browser, pull up your console, do a refresh. Unexpected identifier, app.js.
It's not happy with our imports.
What version of Chrome are you using? 65. Chrome 65, I thought supports import. Oh, go to
Flags?
yes, we might need to enable it. Go to like Chrome : / plugins. : / settings. We could also just Google it. Let's Google Chrome enable import.
Add a ES6 on there.
ES6 modules in Chrome. Yeah, it's been in there since version 61. You have to enable experimental web platform.
How do you spell experimental?
Just click that first link. There's a special page you have to go to. Though, this means that it won't work for anybody that doesn't have this enabled in their browser. I guess you could set up transpiling later on.
We'll do it later.
Okay. Do Chrome : flags, I think, in the URL bar.
I knew it had something to do with flags.
There we go. Scroll. I guess you can also filter.
Yeah, let's just search for platform. That's what it's called, right?
Experimental web platform features.
Enabled.
All right, relaunch now.
Relaunch the whole thing.
Will it keep your tabs open?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, you got a lot of tabs open now.
I got a lot of tabs open, but restarting a browser is it's a big task. I want to go to Chrome flags. Okay.
It's enabled. And then let's go to our open your DevTools console. Try again. God darn it.
This is
I guess we could just write it without import statements.
that's so sad.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because core.js is throwing it off then?
I don't know. Shouldn't.
Like, what if we did a choir instead?
That's not experimental web platform.
No, but I think that's what core.js is.
Really?
Mm.
I say let's just write it. We'll have to bring in all our script tags. Yeah, get rid of that. Let's just call this app. So right above app.js, bring in feathers.js.
Feathers.js.
And then in feathers.js, get rid of export default. Cool. And then right there, say app.authenticate.
Oh.
All right, let's see what happens.
Screwing around in the global scope now.
That's what we got to do.
Hey!
Access token, look at that. So it's logged in, so we can actually make requests now.
We're ready to go.
Sweet. All right, so let's create our first service,
Okay.
rooms. So go to the terminal, do feathers g service. Just do that, it'll ask you the name. And then we'll call it rooms. So do mongoose. Name is going to be rooms. Should be on /rooms, cool. Require authentication, yes. And just like that, we have RESTful routes for our rooms resource. So let's update the model. So if you go into your models, rooms.model, yeah, I'm going to send you a message with our schema. How should I send this to you?
Yes. Let's just write it out.
Are you on okay, you can look at my screen.
Yeah.
So we want, actually I'll tell you. So
Pair it to me.
I'll pair it to you.
Yeah.
Actually, let me do this so I can see both things. And then that, okay. So we want a name that is string and required. Just overwrite text because your room isn't going to have a text. Yeah, so call that name.
Mm-hmm.
We want an owner ID, which is going to be
String? That counts as a string, right? Or
let's look at the Mongoose docs because there's a specific way to do this, basically relating it to another table. Schemas.
schema types.
That should be fine. And actually on the left, if you go to populate, because essentially we're going to have to do that later. So yeah, so type is going to be, schema.types.objectId.
Okay. We already have schema. Schema. Was it lowercase types?
I think so.
Lowercase object ID? No.
No, uppercase type and uppercase object ID.
Way off.
Yeah. Required true. Cool. We're also going to have archived, which is a Boolean. So the idea is like you can create a room, it's active, and then when you archive it, you can't ask any more questions in there. Required true. I think you can do a default value too.
Mm.
So default to.
You think default or default value?
Just default. We can look at the docs. False. Let's look at the docs.
In this one? Come on, default. That's it?
Look at models on the left-hand side. Can you search their docs?
Oh, it only loaded that single page.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Mongoose model default value. Yeah.
That's close enough to what you said, right?
Defaults. Oh yeah, default. The very first one.
Oh. Default is a reserved word in JavaScript. I don't know if I should be using that.
Is it?
Isn't it?
I don't know.
That's why it's showing up bold there.
I don't. Yeah.
Like new.
Okay.
Default, I think for Switch.
Export default. Because in ES 2015, default is a reserved word.
It was a pre-reserved word for a long time, but now it actually has a meaning.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, they probably should do that, but that works. The other thing though is if you go back to populate, we also need to add a ref on there. So if you, so we should do type is object ID, ref is going to be users. So you see that, because that will let it know that under owner ID ref. And then that should be the name of the collection, which is users. And if we look at users.model, that last line 16 is basically that's the name of the collection.
Okay.
So that should match. Cool. So we can go back to that.
Okay. Archived.
Yes.
What was the next one?
We also need users. And then this is going to be a brackets because it's going to be an array, and then of type object ID ref user. Yeah, basically, yeah, you can
required true. And the ref users.
I think you can get rid of required true. Yeah, so users is just going to be a list of object IDs.
Cool. Okay.
And then on here I have current question or like active question. Do we want that? Like, the idea is, like, a room will have several questions in it, but do we want to be able to say, like, this is the question that's being asked right now?
I think so. Only have one question at a time that they focus on.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do that then. So, current question will be...
Oops.
Oh, no.
Just one.
And then...
That'll be a relation, right?
Yes, and then this is going to be... the reference is going to be to...
Not required? Or...
if you just get rid of required, then it won't be there. And then the ref is going to be to questions, which we haven't created yet.
No.
Whoa, this is like a circular dependency, though, because... Well, it should be fine.
Yeah, it'll point to the current question. The question will have the room ID, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes.
Feeling good about it.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so this is describing the schema of a room. Very cool. Now let's create the client-side code that will create a room.
Okay.
So I guess go into your app.js. Let's actually create a new file. And let's just call it like services.js.
Oops.
No.
I don't know all the shortcuts.
Services.js. And let's do const rooms equals feathers. Sorry, it's going to be app.service, and then just pass in rooms. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then make sure to bring that in. Yep.
Apps always has to be last, yeah.
Yeah, and then in app.js, let's create a function called like init. Because basically we want to call this function after they've already been authenticated. So inside of authenticate, invoke init.
We can get rid of our console log data.
Yeah.
And I'll add a semicolon for you.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And then on line 6, let's just do rooms.find parentheses. Just don't pass anything in. It should just find everything. Then, and then just yeah, let's just try to log it.
Let's just data it.
Cool. So by default, we should get back an empty array. Well, we should get back
a nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Let's see.
Oops.
Aborted. Oh, go to your index.html.
Did this crash? No.
Index.html. How did you bring that in?
I called it rooms. It's not rooms, it's services.
Oh, sorry about that.
Where were you on that one, Pear?
I'm sorry. Horrible pair. JS starts cool.
Okay.
Let's try it. Hey.
Woo.
Yeah, shit's working.
Total 0.
And we're off. So check this out. So if you go to application and then delete your cookie and then refresh the page, this should break because we're not authenticated.
Where did that one come from?
No idea. Boom.
And it tells us.
Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Built into FeathersJS. We're authn. Beautiful. And so we should actually, we could do like some detection. Like if the catch gets called, then like show a login button that takes you to auth/GitHub.
Ah, yes, yes. Should I just write like HTML templates in here and show and hide them, you think?
Yeah, I mean, we could do some like client-side routing maybe. Or we could just have like div ID login, div ID rooms, div ID questions.
I'm just going to do a nav.
Okay.
With a button. And I'll say login. Actually, that'll be a link.
Yeah.
To auth
GitHub. Yeah. And then,
I'll give this an ID login.
Yeah.
We'll just style it so we don't have any styles either.
Create some.
Let's
And
create
so,
some.
yeah, so like by default, that will be hidden, but then if it catches, we'll show it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just block it over them so they think that they're blocked out, but really they can hide it. Just keep going. I'm going to display flex this.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a width of 100 VW, height of 100 VH, position. Getting crazy with it.
I'm just going to delete this.
What does this say?
What's that?
Position, absolute, top 0, left 0. And I'll give it a background of white. And then inside the login A, if you do margin auto, that'll put it in the center of the whole window.
Wow, Chad, I'm learning everything.
I think.
Okay.
I think. Oh, did I include the style sheet?
I don't think you have yet.
No. I need a mouse. Oh, I want link. Master. I called it main. There it is.
Look at that. I like it.
I don't know why that's still there, but whatever.
You can just delete it. It's in index.html.
It should be covering it, though.
Oh, because it's 100%. It's the footer. Interesting.
I'm gonna delete the footer. How about that?
That's okay.
Okay. So now if we log in, we go boom, we get back here. It's still showing it because I haven't done anything else yet.
Yeah, and so basically in the JavaScript, so like if app.authenticate was legit, then you can hide it. Maybe you hide it in, well, yeah, hide it.
Init.
Yeah, because init is only going to get called if they were actually logged in.
Login dot. Wait.
Style.display equals none.
There we go.
Click on console. Oh.
I logged back in already.
Oh, because you're okay. Cool.
So let's see if we do this, clear it out, refresh, we get our login, and I click it, logs in, redirects me back.
Badass.
Smooth.
Yes. Okay, so now we essentially want to show like a create room button or something like that.
Okay. Let's do that in here. Let's call that our main.
Okay.
We'll have a nav. That's just a button, huh?
Create room.
I did some fancy old school on click. Should we just do that?
Sure.
It's like React style.
Yeah, on click is going to be create room. Well, yeah, and then maybe we throw an input box for the name of the room right above it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I should make this a form then.
Yeah.
Do we still add those on the end?
You don't need them, but that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got our input.
We'll call that the
Create room form. Yeah, I like it.
And so now when we...
Let's go ahead and get rid of like that FeathersJS stuff.
Oh, that's a big logo.
It's like a base 64
Well,
image.
we've already got a main in there.
Oh. I guess get rid of that. Put the class container on there. Okay.
How about that?
Like it.
Okay.
Let's see what it looks like. Like, are the buttons styled or are they just like default styles?
Pretty nasty.
Yeah. Do you want to bring in Bulma?
Yeah, let me pull up my Bulma. Whoa. Get me out of here. Docs overview. Where's their CDN code?
What's SRI?
I don't know. It's the integrity and this
okay.
thing. I don't know what it does.
It's like if you got man in the middle and the hash didn't match, the browser wouldn't load it. Do you want to remove the default styles that were already loaded in?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Let's call this Everybody Writes.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, and I want to see what do they have for their buttons. Form. We call them input, in.button. Is there something to wrap it around? A field? Let's try with that.
Cool.
What's that a field?
Like a label?
Oh, and a label, yeah. How did they
It's a label,
just put it?
class
Field
label.
and then control? Or no? Oh yeah, field and control.
Yeah, so div class control is going to have the input inside of it.
Is that separate? Is that next to it?
I think the button would be outside because it's like the submit for the form.
I just looked at it. A field, and then inside there's a label and a control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think you give that a class of label.
Label.
Yep, and then do a div dot in control. Yeah, div dot control.
Control.
That has the input inside of it. And then
And this can go.
I think just inside the form.
I think we could do like a has add-on thing.
Okay. Like a button attached to the input itself.
Where is
That
it?
thing.
This one. Has add-ons.
I like it. So that way you just click create right on the.
Mm-hmm. and they show that as control and control.
Okay.
Oops. What was that? There's no label now?
Yeah. Oh, we already have the... Oh, both of them are in control.
Yeah, these both get controls.
And then there's one more class on that one, isn't there?
There's button is info, but
Yeah. That I think that'll put it as the right-hand side of the input.
what's the color?
Oh, that goes on the div class, doesn't it? Oh, no, it doesn't. Sorry.
That was for the button, yeah. Label. I don't know if we need the label anymore. Let's see.
Oh, okay. Hey. I don't like the label.
I don't like it either.
You could do a placeholder on the input.
I like that better.
Cool. So anybody that has joined late, we are working on a FeathersJS app. Right now we're working on the client. It is all vanilla JS. We're using Bulma.
Bulma?
Bulma as the styles.
I think they do section dot.
And then will that give it some like spacing on the sides?
Padding for us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. All right, so let's hook up that button. So when they click create room, we're going to create a room on the server. So in there, I guess you could do this outside of a init, right? Because it's going to exist anyways.
Oops. Document.
So grab the form and then store it in a variable.
Constant, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Room form.
Like it. And then we will add the submit handler to, well, yeah, you should make that button type of submit, but then add a submit handler to the form.
Oh, yeah.
Submit. We're going to prevent the default action. And then go into your HTML. Yeah, so Dan Bierman just asked a question. Bulma is a UI kit like Materialize? Yeah, so it's like Materialize CSS or Bootstrap or other things. But yeah, it's a it's a CSS framework. They provide lots of CSS classes and give you some kind of like default styles. But I'll make this button type submit, so that way when it's clicked, it will submit the form.
Oh, we added this. We don't need that. We're doing it.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, I guess that's true. We could have just created a function called
create room.
Yeah.
That's what I thought we were doing originally. But then no, this way's better.
Okay. Cool.
This is fine for now.
It's fine. And then let's give an ID to that input so we can grab its value.
We'll use form data.
Okay. Rather than give it a name.
Yes. Fine. Room name?
Sure.
That seems about right.
Yeah, so create yourself some form
data.
Pass in the room form. And then let's create an object, which is going to be, let's call it room. And then it has a name, which is form data.get room.
Did I do
room name? You did.
Man.
And if we look back at our room model, we can see all of the things that are required that we're going to have to use to pass in. So we have a name. We're going to have to pass in the owner ID. We can actually create a before create hook that adds the current logged in users ID there, which will do that. Archived will automatically be set, and then the other two should be fine. So that should do it.
Okay.
So yeah, so here we can do rooms.create.
Oh, rooms is our.
So that's our
Mongoose.
well, it's our Feathers service. pass in the room, and then do a .then. That should give us back the result of the creation, and let's just log it. I think right now it's going to fail because we're not passing in the user ID, but we should at least see a failure. So I guess, yeah, do a .catch too.
Well, it'll show the error in there if we do a .catch anyway. If we don't do a .catch, right?
That's true, yeah.
We're not being official right now.
All right, let's see what happens. Pull up your console. Console.
Oh.
Okay, so we're going to create a room called Chad's Room.
Chad's Room.
Bad request. Owner ID is required. So what we'll do is we'll create a before create hook on the room's service. Okay. So on the server side, if you go into rooms,
rooms hooks,
and then rooms hooks. Wemo is so thankful for Webpack. Yeah, we are not using it, and probably should, but we don't have the time. For another episode. So essentially, we want in our before create, let's create a. I think these. I don't know if these are called middlewares. These might be called hooks. But let's create a hook called add owner ID, and then we'll just create a nice little function. And that takes in the context.
Oh, yeah.
And then right here, let's just return the context. But before that, let's log, I think it's context.params. We'll have the user on it. And let's just see what happens. So pull up your server logs and then click create. Yes, context.params.user ._id. Yeah, so yes, so we can basically say context. Yeah, let's make sure that we can log that.
That one?
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Awesome. So now back on the server side, let's say if context.params.user, so let's make sure it exists. We'll just do .user, because if you do .id and the user doesn't exist, then yeah. Then say context.data.ownerID is the user ID. Yes.
Okay.
That should do it. Boom! Got created.
Right. Default false. Oh, it does create that and updated that.
Yeah, so if you look at the model, there's the timestamps true, and that automatically.
Oh, yeah, the timestamps.
Yeah, automatically adds created and updated. Cool. So we got a room. Let's add some questions to the room, I guess. But I guess on here we want to, after they create the room, redirect them to a page that is that current room.
Yeah.
So maybe we want a separate HTML file that's like rooms.html.
Okay.
Question mark room ID or something like that.
Oh,
like a param.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So client side, we'll add a new file. Room. Well, just room, right?
Room.
Yeah, just room.html.
I'm just gonna start with this.
Yeah. Copy everything. And I mean, I guess you could leave the login.
We can probably do like a check to see if they're not logged in, then we'll redirect them back to the main page.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, because if they come here, yeah, let's leave the login for now.
Okay. So let's get rid of that form. And essentially, well, actually, put the form back. We just want to make that like add question, like create question form, right?
Question?
Yeah. And then placeholder will be question. And essentially when this page loads, we need to get the room with the given ID. So let's do this. So on the home page, when it loads, let's list out all of the rooms. So right here on line 8, we were actually getting back the array of rooms. And so on the home page, we should list those out.
Okay.
So you could click one, which then will take you to the room page. And I think it's going to be data.data.
Data.data.
Yeah, because it gives you like pagination, like how many there are, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Data.
Rooms?
Nope.
They just data.data, huh?
Yeah. You can just log data again. You can see what it is. Because now if you go to the home page, now if you look at that actually has one room in it that has a given ID. So we want to basically create a link that goes to the room with that ID.
Okay.
So we're going to do like a for each. Oh yeah, I guess put a X marks the spot below the form of like let's do like a list. Does Bulma have like cool stylings for lists?
I believe they do.
Let's use it.
Where elements.
Components. Layout. Form. To element.
Elements. I've seen one before.
Yeah. Well, because like Bootstrap has like nice little outlines along each like list item.
Menu. I think that's the one I used. So something like this, I could give it a title of rooms.
I guess so. Yeah. Is there really not anything just straight up for a list? Can you search their docs?
Where's their search box?
Right there. Oh no, that was my cursor. Sorry.
This thing.
Let's go to overview real quick. See if there's any. Weird. Okay, I'm okay with the menu if you are.
Yeah, that's what I've used before.
Okay.
It makes it look a little fancier.
Right.
Rooms, and then we'll just loop over those. Get rid of the rest of this stuff.
Jacob Hingston says, "Hi, Chad."
Hey, Jacob.
Is that one of your students?
Yeah.
Cool.
One of my students.
Cool. So we've been streaming about an hour and a half. I'm saying we go at this for another half hour. Okay. I think we can get there, though. We create our rooms, we create our questions, and then done.
Okay. Rooms list. I'm just going to cut this out.
So Dan Bierman has asked a question. General thoughts and feelings about Bulma versus other UI kits. So I've used Bulma maybe once. Any thoughts on like versus Bootstrap or Materialize?
My only thought is I like the design of it compared to the other ones.
Okay.
I'm kind of sick of Bootstrap, sick of Material, but otherwise, they're all about the same, easy to use. I wish it had helpers included, like for Flexbox type stuff. That would be nice, because it does call itself a Flexbox-based framework.
Yeah.
But I don't do anything to interact with the Flexbox side of it, so.
I see. So we're gonna iterate over.
I'm gonna write a little template here.
Oh, nice.
Oh no, we can actually do that.
You could do it in the for each.
Yeah, do it in the for each.
Yeah.
Okay, data.data.for each
Room. We want to.
I'm gonna need to grab an element up here. Room links equals, and I called it rooms list.
Mm-hmm. So we grab that, and then we essentially we want to build up like an HTML string that we'll just set the inner HTML to. For the.
At the very end.
Okay, can you go back to your HTML, to your index.html? Yeah, so basically we could set inner HTML to be all of those LIs. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
HTML?
Yeah, initialize it to an empty string, and then we're just going to concatenate onto it. So like HTML, add on your nice little template with the room.name in there.
Oops.
But then we'll give it an href that will link to room.html.
HTML.
Let's say let's do ID, because that will be unique, equals room._id. I guess that's it's not as friendly though. We might need to add some checks that make a name unique then.
Well, I think that's good, because we could create multiple rooms. What if we both run the same room, just JavaScript at the same time? We want different IDs.
That makes sense.
And you have to kind of guess it to join the room. It's a little bit more private.
Yeah. Dan Behrman says, different smell, but tastes the same as the rest, because UI is food. And then Jarrell said, food.
Food.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so that will give us a link, and then just, set the HTML of that rooms list. Beautimus. And now when the page loads, boom.
We got Chad's room.
I like it. And if we click on it, it'll take us there, and then now we need to update this to grab the room with that ID.
Okay. This is pulling in because of our app.js.
Yeah, so we don't want that anymore. We're going to create like a room.js or something like that.
And we'll just copy this one in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pretty messy without a Webpack.
Yeah, and without a front-end framework.
Oh yeah, without a front-end framework. What's in our init? I'll copy that.
What are you thinking, Chad? So in room, we're going to do similar things, but we need to...
I'm just going to copy for now, a lot of redundancy, but...
Yeah, and I guess we don't need to find the rooms, but we will need to find the questions for the given room.
A specific room.
Yeah.
This will end up being _ID.
Well, this will be... oh, you're right. So when it loads, we need to get the... Do we need to get the room? We need to get the...
it should have the users on it.
It's true. Yeah, so grab the room, and then we need to get the ID from the URL query string. Isn't there a built-in query string parser thingy?
Yeah, what is it now?
I think it's like
URL.
URL. Yeah, go to the DevTools and let's just try it out.
Actually,
Like new URL. Yeah, and then pass in the current URL. Do a window.location.href. And then...
I think I can do that with search params, though, directly off the thing.
Let's see, so window.location.search_params?
They had URL search params.
With window.location.search?
Oh. Is it search
Just search. Actually, can you do window.location? Just type window.location, see what you have access to. Because search params might already be just without new URL. Just window.location. Yeah. And then if you expand that does so that doesn't have search params.
Not by default, yeah. I think maybe it's a.
Should we just
getter,
Google
though?
it?
Yeah, let's Google it.
Yeah, search for URL search params.
It's fairly new. I haven't used it too much. But I think it's just a one-liner thing. Give me an example.
Okay.
Param string. So I just need to drop off the question mark.
Oh.
Is that true?
I think
and
so.
then I do a .get?
Yeah,
or is
so
it just everything just through a .get?
Yeah, so I think that's... So do like search params with window.location.
Because when I did, I think I could do that and then do dot get ID.
ID, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh, wow, I like it.
You don't see anything because they're all getters.
Right.
So, fooled us. Knew it was one line.
Cool. And then that will actually go to the Feathers client docs real quick, because there is something for just like find one instead of find all. On the left hand side, scroll down to client, FeathersJS client.
So we're in usage right now.
Right there.
Oh.
Go to REST actually. And then we want to get, I think. Because get that's just the HTTP API. Go to the REST base URL real quick, because the client scroll down. .create. Maybe it's just .get and then you pass in the ID. Command F for .get. Yeah, just pass in the ID.
Okay. Get.
And then you don't need the object, just the ID.
Anything else need room in here?
Brooks just asked a question, but I think we changed what he was asking. Why not const ID so you can use object literal? We could have done that, but now we're just getting a single room, so we're not using underscore ID anymore. Line 20. Oh, you're still bringing in app.js. You need to bring in room.js.
Boom.
Cool, and that's the room. And then we could show like users on the left-hand side.
Print ID users.
Yeah, so should we make it now a logged in user can join the room?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the home page, next to all the rooms, maybe there should be a like a join button. Or should it just be when you go to that room URL, you automatically join it?
If you go to that room and you log in, then you automatically join it.
What if you're already logged in and you go to that room URL?
You join it.
Okay. So, yeah, so let's have some, I guess maybe some logic on the room page where it says, like, if the current logged in user's ID is not the owner ID, then we need to join the room.
And that's in our room JS.
But we are going to have to get access to the current logged in user's ID. There is a way to do that on the client. Can you go to the FeathersJS docs? So if you go down to authentication on the client, app.authenticate right there is a way. Actually, if you scroll down, there's a way to, it will basically parse the user for you from a cookie. Keep going.
Authenticated?
So client.authenticate, then, oh, here it is, client.passport.verify JWT, and that will give you back the payload, which gives you back, yeah.
Right here? Okay.
Yeah, right there. So, yeah, copy that. And then,
And service users get, then they're getting their user info.
which we don't need, we just need their user ID. So basically, right here on line 2, you can paste that in. Well,
Oops.
before the init. then instead of Feathers client, you just do app, because that's what we called it. And then instead of response.access token, that should just be data. And then I would do a dot then on here, and that gives you back the user. And then inside of there, we can do an init, but yeah, let's up at the top. Let's just create like a empty user variable. So just like, in the global space, because we'll be able to use it later. Like I guess let's call this payload then. And then before we do init, just say user equals payload. And then now inside of here, we have access to user, and we can check like if user dot underscore ID does not equal, what's that about? Does not equal room dot
owner ID?
Yeah, owner ID. Then we need to add them to the room.
Okay. So room dot users push.
No, we're gonna have to call
we have to actually hit the server for it.
Hit the server. I'm thinking maybe we add a custom route which does the pushing into the array. Because technically we could do a patch which adds the user. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the client docs real quick. So if you go up on the left hand side, go up to client rest, and just search for, scroll down on the left hand side, there is a patch. Go to patch. We need to do like a complex patch, which is like a push into the users array. You can usually do that with MongoDB. Let's try this. So do in the code, we're gonna say rooms.patch, and you'll pass in the ID. And then we'll pass in some options. And
what were
those?
Read true?
So read would be the name of the field that you're... Oh, that's merging this data, but I guess we don't want to do that. So put in empty object as the first parameter. And then the second parameter... Oh, wait, actually go back. Oh, so this is so we want to put our updates in the second object, and the last object will be empty, because that's our query.
Okay.
Because we don't need to query it, because we're just getting the one with that specific ID. So do a third empty object. Sorry, a second. But inside this, just like that. But inside the second one is where we're gonna have to do some sort of complex query. So we're gonna need to say like
users, right? Or
yes. So do users colon
is it something like a nested one where you do like...
Actually, I think you want to do try $push instead of users. Do $push.
But don't we want to tell it we want to push it onto the users?
This is where we're just totally guessing.
Okay.
$push, and then that should be an object.
I'm pretty sure it's this way.
Okay, and then push.
We could look it up, but...
And then the value is just going to be user._ID. Maybe you give it brackets.
Like an array?
Yeah, and then user_ID, because we're trying to push that user ID in there.
Oops. Let's confirm it real quick. In Mongoose?
Yeah. Mongoose push array? Yeah, add to array.
Add to array.
Yeah. Here's
a hint, just scroll down to the answer, don't even bother reading the question.
See?
Same.
$ push.
Dang.
It's flipped.
You're too good.
Um,
$push friends friend.
Yeah.
That's weird. I feel like it should be this way. Because if I wanted to do multiple things to it. Users.
and that should be $push.
Okay.
And then I gave her the brackets. But also we don't want to push them into the array if they're already in the array.
Oh.
Oh wait, so we want to check if owner ID is not the user ID and room.users doesn't have that user ID.
Users dot find?
Yeah, find, and then you get the user. This is a JavaScript array. You can still use find though, because find is.
Oh, it's just an array of the IDs.
Yeah, and you can just do like ID, fat arrow.
Use.
Nope. Nope. Just do ID. Fat arrow. ID.
Oh.
Fat arrow.
ID fat arrow.
And then get rid of your curlies and say ID triple equals or double equals user dot underscore ID.
Okay.
And do a not instead of room dot users dot find. So if it's not found, then we're gonna patch it.
Okay.
Do a dot then on line 20.
Dot then.
Just call it like result or data or something like that. Result. And then just log it.
Alright, we should have users on there.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna try to join this room.
Okay.
So I believe you're 192.168.1.102, port 3030. There we go.
Push is empty.
Not authenticated, so I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna give Chad access to my public data. And it redirected to localhost 3030.
Oh.
192.168.1.102.
Boom. Did it work?
No, it's mainly because it's logging to localhost. You might have to test it on your side. You might have to, yeah.
Well, I was getting the error. Push is empty. Why is it trying to push it on there? If the user underscore ID is not equal to the room owner ID, should we log some stuff out?
Yeah, just log the room, make sure we're getting all that. Well, I guess we're already logging.
Let's log the user in the room.
Okay. Oh, it's user ID, not underscore ID.
Why would they do that to us?
And then right there too, yeah. And then also right there.
Okay.
And so now it shouldn't try to push it because you are the owner.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have a second GitHub account? I have one you can log into. Open a private tab. And then, yeah, we'll have to log in.
Log in.
I'll log in. That. Oh, maybe it's g-student. Oh no. That's wrong. Okay, I'm gonna log in, Chad. Please don't mess with my repos.
Okay.
Cool.
Boom.
And open the DevTools.
Relog me to home.
So it joined the room, and He's in there. That's me.
That's you?
And if you refresh the page, it shouldn't go in there twice.
Yeah, it didn't create it again.
Yeah, I'm in the room.
You're in there.
I'm in the room.
All right.
Cool.
So we can spit out all the users now.
If we wanted to. Do you want to like list the users on the left hand side? Well, only the room owner should see the users, right? Or no, everybody sees the users.
You could go both ways.
Yeah.
Should we skip that for now?
No, because that's part of the app. Like, you want to be able
Yeah.
to see who's in the room, and you want to see, like, as they're typing. Like, only the room owner should be able to see what they're typing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. So, here's what we can do. We can do a with related query, which will populate all the users in that array.
When we do our get, right?
Yes.
Like
let's look at the feathers docs. Just do a command F for like related. Command F for populate.
Would it be under the Mongo stuff then?
Yeah.
Or where do we pull the get from here?
Query. Yeah, let's look at Mongoose and look at with related. We can see what the I think you have the tab open there. Go to populate.
Populate. We are there.
And then scroll down. Because when you're doing a query.
Oh, there's a find one.
Dot populate author. Huh.
But with the dot get is a feathers thing, right?
Yeah. I've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember how I did it. Because oh, you know what? No,
Was
I
it
didn't.
through a hook?
No, I just did a find all users where their ID is in this array. So I did a second query.
Oh, okay.
So let's do that. So in services.js, also create a user service. Yes, and then inside the room, after we get the room, now we can do another query. So right below line,
Well, what if we create them?
yeah, I guess we want to do that first and then grab all the users. So
Just make a second function for it.
yeah, call it like get users, and then pass in an array of user IDs. Yeah, and you can do users.find, and then we'll do an object, and say do a query. Just do some formatting, yeah. Do query, and then that's going to be an object. And then we'll say $in colon, and then that's an object. Underscore ID is user IDs. I think that does it.
User IDs.
Yeah, and then do a .bin on there. That should give us an array of IDs. Bob's Paradox says, "Whoa, hey chat, hey Bob, welcome to the stream. We're pair programming today.
Hey, Bob.
This should actually give us back full users.
Oh, that's what I meant. Well, users data.
Yeah.
We have a users.
And then let's log them there. Cool. So basically, we want to call get users right here in the .bin. Otherwise, you can do an else and call get users there.
Else get users.
Yes, and then let's just get rid of line 28. Let's see what happens. unknown tuple operator $in. Maybe it's I think it's swapped in this case. So underscore ID in. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, swap the two. Cast filled for value object to path ID for model users. Go back. Oh, you need to pass in the user ID.
Oh, yeah.
Do a room.users.
Oh, this would be results.
No,
users,
it's
right?
room.
But this we want the one that's updated though.
Do we?
After
yeah.
this.
Oh, okay. And then in this case, we want
this will be
room.users.
room.users.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, and that if you expand that, that gives us back one user. There he is. He's in your room.
CJR, there he is.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, here's why we're using FeathersJS though. Let's listen for new users being added to the room,
Okay.
and then automatically like do something in response. Well, first let's like list the users on the left hand side.
Okay. Let me get another one of my cool menus going.
Okay.
I'm just going to copy the code from the last one.
Okay.
Where do I want to put the in my init, huh? Now and get users, then console log user data. Let's do const
User list.
user list. Let's put it up top. Where was that other code in here?
Yeah. I guess you want the whole aside, right?
Yeah.
Users list.
I just call it user list.
Sure.
I think I did.
Yeah.
User list. And then let's see from the app. Let me just kind of copy this shit and update that.
You already have that, right?
Oh, I got that. HTML. This would be users data.
.data, and that gives you the user. And
these
we'll
don't need to be links. We'll just show their name and li.
yeah, for now. And then later on we'll have to add like a click handler, like when you click them, show what they're typing, that kind of thing. User.displayName.
Oops. That's the underscore version, right?
Yeah. And then this should be user list. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Look at that.
CJR.
He's
and
in there.
myself though too, huh?
Well, you're technically the owner, so you're not a user in the room.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is where we'll use feathers. Like when the room is updated, we'll basically set those users. So let's do this. Scroll up, because like inside of the init, yeah. We grab the room. Actually, we don't even need it there. Let's do it like on line 13 because we have the ID there.
What are we doing again?
Oh, okay. Go to the feathers docs real quick. Basically, we're gonna create a listener for whenever this room is updated. So, under socket.io, go to client. Socket.io, listening to events, and then updated. If you scroll down there,
/messages.
but basically we can use the Feathers service to be updated. So let's
say
do
whenever when
a user is added to the array. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we go to
well, we want created then.
well, not created, because not when a user is created.
Oh yeah.
When a user is
Updated
or patched. Yeah. So okay. So let's do this. Inside the code.
Inside the what?
Inside the code. Adam. I think right here we can do rooms.on created, and this takes in a callback function. Yeah, and then you get access to the room. Well, actually, we want to do updated. Sorry, not created. Updated. And then we'll say if room dot ID equals ID.
Underscore ID?
Yeah. Equals ID, meaning the room that was updated is the room that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's call a function that's like update user list.
Oh.
And then pass in room.users. And then let's create that function, update user list. Basically, we're going to pull this code out of there.
Yeah.
And yeah. It takes in... Oh, actually, we'll just call that function. Because this takes in a list of user IDs already. We don't need a new function.
Just call get users?
Yeah, because that will grab all the users again. And but before we set it, yeah, because then we overwrite the inner HTML. What's that?
Oh. Just get the latest version of all the users?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That works.
It might be more expensive. I mean, you could do it later on. What was this function called? Get users. Yeah, so now whenever the room is updated, meaning somebody new joins the room, the page will automatically refresh with the latest list of users.
Okay.
Simple as that. We got a message in the chat. Shout outs to CJ for the Node Express Postgres auth video series using that stack for school project. We've been taught basically nothing. I'm not going to say that word on the stream from the professor. And I made everything clear. Appreciate it. I guess your name is Robert. What is this item name? Yeah, you are very welcome. And if you haven't checked it out, look under playlists on Coding Garden, and yeah, I've got a playlist on how to implement auth from scratch using Node, Express, and Postgres. All right, how do we test this, Chad? I got an idea. We'll create a new room. You'll just like sit there, and then in the incognito tab, you'll join that room, and it should pop up automatically.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I see what you mean.
So go to that. Go to the home page.
The home page.
Yes. We'll create a room. Aaron Goodman, thanks for joining, bud. Hearts.
Second room.
Second room. Okay.
We didn't do the refresh stuff, but.
Okay, so you go in there. Now this thing is just sitting there, right? Okay, now do like a left. Do you have a spectacle on?
Split.
Yeah, do that on the right hand side. This on the left hand side. Let's keep the DevTools open because there could be something that goes wrong.
Yeah.
And then wait. Left hand side. Make it. Can you make it right? Or click on it.
Make it what?
Okay, so we are. Okay, I just want to make sure we're seeing the console.
Oh, on this side?
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Okay. So my thought is if we paste that URL into the browser on the right, it will automatically add my name to the left-hand side.
That's my thought too.
Okay, let's try it. Dang. It could be that the thing passed into updated wasn't what we thought it would be. So go to the code in room.js and let's right here log.
Unless, yeah, his room ID didn't match.
Yeah, let's log. Just log room. And you'll need to create a new room. Yeah. Third room.
3. Didn't even log anything.
Lame. Let's make sure that that's right. Let's go to the FeathersJS docs. Yeah. We want listening to events. Created.
Socket on? So we have to...
Oh, it's just called update. If you scroll down. No, it is updated.
Updated. What does the /mean?
It's just like namespace.
Their namespace, okay.
But because we created the service, we should just be able to do...
should we be using the socket.on, or is that already inherited?
It's built into the service. When you do feathers.service... let me look at some previous codes just to double check. Keep looking at the docs.
Okay. I'm going to do a Google search for it.
Okay. Oh.
So they give us on updated, they give us the message in context. Is that why I think it's maybe the second param? No, because we didn't log anything.
Yeah, I should at least log something. In my code, I am just saying service.on created. Let me look at my set to make sure I'm not doing anything special in there. Can you look at your feathers.js where we created the client? We're passing in socket. Yeah, that looks good. So Robert in the chat just asked what app I use for taking a break. It's called Deja Time Out. Yeah, so I have this set up for micro break every 15 minutes and then a long break every hour. It's a free app. You can pay to get more features. I paid the full price because I use it like crazy. I'll throw the link in the chat. And I had this issue once where I was not getting updates. Let me find the app where I was doing that. I mean, I think the only thing I changed was making sure that I was authenticated. View feathers chat.
Rooms patch.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just did service.on created, but I'm guessing .updated should do the same thing. If you look in, well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, are the users actually being added? But if you look in Mongotron, we know that they are.
Yeah, I refreshed the page and it showed them it's in there.
Yeah. You could potentially use the raw socket and try doing it like the docs do. So if you look in feathers.js, we do have this global variable called socket. Yeah, so inside room.js, you could try socket.on and then do rooms space updated.
see if it makes a difference.
Yeah.
4.
Lame.
What's up, socket? Why don't you want to update?
Can you go back to the feathers docs? Let's make sure that's how that was done, though. Rooms created.
Not there.
Well, we did updated, but yeah. Scroll up. What's about the my?
They had it.
None of the other ones have that on there.
I saw some code somewhere where it said it.
This is very curious.
Update is normally expected to replace an entire resource, which is why the database adapters only support patch for multiple records. Does that mean anything helpful?
Oh.
Update messages no. And they said
Yeah, so Robert asked a question in the chat. Other than preference, is there a reason why I haven't made the jump to VS Code? Main thing for me is I had to do some special things to get my keyboard shortcuts that I'm used to and Atom working inside of VS Code. I, for the most part, have gotten that there, and I think pretty soon I'll probably switch to VS Code. They're doing a lot of really cool things. Like there was a recent update where VS Code can open like a 5 gigabyte file like in milliseconds,
wow.
which is insane. And for Vue, which I use all the time, they have some really cool plugins for it. So I might make the jump to VS Code pretty soon. Main thing was I've been so used to Atom that I wanted to make sure that everything that I do in Atom works the same way in VS Code. So a message in the chat, socket.on is inside of the init function. Is that a problem? I don't think so, because we're not going to start... It shouldn't be, because right now...
Got it.
It worked? You did dot patched or what?
Yeah.
Ah! Okay, so...
It was patched because we forgot we were doing patch instead of
Well, they
updated.
didn't have that example. Okay, try doing rooms.on patched. Okay, we figured it out.
Knew it had to be something simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so rooms on patch.
Yeah. Try a new one. So we're creating a new room.
Another one.
And then...
Join the room on the left, and then join the room on the right. There it is.
Wow. Real time. Okay.
That's real time.
So Chad, we have been streaming for a little over 2 hours now.
My old man says that's enough for me.
This has been super fun. We didn't get as far as I'd hoped we would, but would you be open to coming back?
Yeah.
Maybe for another stream? Sweet. Sweet, sweet. Let's just do a recap for the folks watching at home as all the stuff that we did. So let's start with close everything out, and then we'll go. Basically, the first thing we did was we added authentication, and we just did feathers generate authentication, and that added GitHub auth by default. We had to create an app on GitHub to create our client ID and secret. But then after we did that, we updated our users model, which got generated when we added authentication. Can you click on that? To also include a display name. So by default, it only included GitHub ID, but we wanted to be able to show the user's actual name after they logged in with GitHub. And to do that, we created a hook. So if you go to users.hooks.js,
Users.hooks.
essentially a hook gives you access to the request or the response so that you can modify it. And so essentially, this code right here says, like, when a user is being created, we're going to tack on the display name and the GitHub ID given the information that we got back from GitHub. And this is basically put right there in the create hook. So anytime a new user is created, this function will run and it'll grab the display name and GitHub ID off of the user. As I'm reviewing, if you do have any questions, throw them in the chat so I can make sure that we answer them as we go through. Cool. And so like that was it for users. And then when to log a user in, you just go to auth/GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
That does the OAuth flow. Basically, it takes you to GitHub. They click allow. You get redirected back to your app, and then the app sets a cookie. And then now that that cookie is set, our client. So if you go to, I guess, app.js on the client here. This does app.authenticate, which essentially under the hood, this is built into Feathers client, uses that cookie to make sure that you actually are logged in. And then if you are, we do all that good stuff that shows like the rooms and stuff like that. But according to our data model, initially we had rooms. So we generated a room service, which is essentially routes for creating rooms. And if we look at that model, oh yeah, I mean, we can look at the service too. All of this got generated. We didn't touch it. But like when you generate a service with Feathers, it automatically adds in pagination. It automatically mounts the route on your Express app and creates the service.
Adds the hooks.
Adds all those built-in hooks. And then the only thing we did was... Oh, yeah.
We added the owner ID.
Yeah, so we did have to add our own hook, where essentially when a user is creating a new room, we automatically set the owner ID to be the currently logged in user's ID. That way you can't spoof anyone. Like you couldn't try to create a room using someone else's ID because this hook is always going to run. Look where I break. This hook will always run and set the owner ID to be the actual logged in user ID. And then we also updated the model of the room. So we basically said every room needs an owner ID, and then this is going to reference an object ID in the users table. Every room will either be archived or not, but it'll default to false. The idea is like when you create a room, it's going to be active, but then eventually you're done with that room, so you archive it, and you still have access to like all the questions that were asked and the answers, but it doesn't show up on the main page. And then every room has a list of users in that room, and this is essentially a reference to the users table. And then we haven't got to adding questions yet, but essentially that will be a reference to an ID in the questions table. Let's do a quick review of the client side. So like our index.html, I think initially shows like a login button.
Yeah.
Can you describe that?
So we show this login button. By default, it's covering over the whole page if you're logged out. And then when you log in via app.js or rooms.js, we run the init. The init comes back, and it says, okay, hide that login button. So we basically it's just a huge overlay that we show over everything else. So if you're not logged in, you can't see anything on the screen. And the rest of the queries won't actually work. So you get errors back there anyway.
Right.
And then on our home page, we have our rooms. We listed all of the rooms that we have. We injected them. And let's see, in our app.js, on our init, we did our rooms.find. Then we got all the data back. We were console logging out just all the data that we got. Grabbed the rooms list there on the page, set some empty HTML to start with, looped over all of the rooms from our data.data, built an HTML string with links to all the different rooms that we have available, and then we set that inner HTML at the very end. And also, we have our create room form, so if we're making a new room, we can type a name in here and create a new form, or create a new room. So we have grab our element there, or the form. We add the event listener, listening for the submit event whenever you submit it, prevent the default so we're not redirecting anywhere else. We pull our form data from the room form, create our new data object that we're going to send up, and we're going to send up the form data, grab it the room name, set it to the name, And then we'll create the room, and then we just logged out the data. One thing we didn't add here was clearing out the field and then refreshing the list. That would be simple enough.
I think also we can do like an event listening for when any new room is created, because then we can instantly just show it in that list.
That's true, yeah. Show it in the list and just clear out the field at the end, and then that would be the end for that.
But I think also when the room is created, you probably want to just redirect to that room anyways.
Yeah, if you're creating a new room.
Yeah.
You probably want to go there.
Cool.
And then, so these links here, they actually take you to a room.html page. So that is a secondary HTML page, which is very similar. We have our menu. It's going to list all the users instead of the rooms. And then also our form below where we're creating our question, which we didn't fully get to. We still have our login button down below, and we only swapped out our room.js with our app.js because we were having issues of it running without, you know, the compiler loaders and all that stuff. The beauty of that, we had to go old school. So in this one, in our room.js, we have our normal app.authenticate, and at this point when we're authenticating, you're a user logged in and we want to get all of your information, so we set the user in the global scope up there, and then we verify the JOT with our access token, and that gives us back the user payload data. We just set that back to our user, so now we have access to the user. Whoever's logged in will be available on user. Call our init. In our init, we do the same kind of login thing. We hide the login button. We're grabbing the ID of the room from the URL using URL search params. And then we'll come back to that in a second. First, we're grabbing out the room.get. We're getting that ID, getting the room, and then we're saying if the current user ID does not match the owner ID, or the user is not included in this room, then automatically add them to the room. So if a new user comes to the site and they want to join the room, they'll automatically be joined in the room once they log in.
Right.
And when that comes back, that will refresh the users. Otherwise, we'll just refresh the users anyway, and refreshing the users will go find a query where the ID is in user IDs. What's that one doing again?
So user IDs is stored on the room's document, and basically it's an array of all of the IDs of users. So basically we're saying grab all the users where their ID is in that array. So it's essentially going to give us back the full user data of every ID in that array. So we get back display name, and I guess that's probably the only thing we care about is display name of each of the users.
Yeah, for now.
And the Feathers client actually has a way of saying only request these fields too. So if we could say like only bring back the display name if we really wanted to do that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anytime we call get users, we're getting the latest of all the users, grabbing their data, and then appending it to the list like we did for the rooms. But we're just showing their display name. We're not actually linking anywhere or anything else for now.
Right.
Cool. And then there was one more thing, the patch. So the rooms on patch, this will say whenever a new user is added to the room from the patch that we did below, down here, then automatically, well, if this room is equal to the room ID that we're currently in, then go ahead and get the users.
And I'll say, like, this is the main reason we're using FeathersJS right here, because this is where the real time comes into play. So, like, any user that's on that room page, the moment somebody else joins, they're instantly going to see that user's name pop up. And we'll do very similar things later on when we're dealing with like questions being asked or like answers to questions. We'll automatically, as people are typing, we'll be sending those to the server and then showing the latest updates on the page too. Cool. There was a comment in the chat from Brooks. This paired programming has been pretty awesome. I think so. This has been pretty awesome. Are you going to do it again with another guest? That's awesome. You're reaching all the way across.
That looks so long.
Yeah.
Oh.
Brooks, I would love to pair program with you. We could code a game or something like that.
That'd be game.
Awesome.
A Brooks game.
Yeah. Because if you have not seen it, Brooks is on Twitch as Brooks Zerker. Check him out. He streams every now and then, playing games and making games and coding. But I think maybe later this week or next week or something, we can get back together, and I think we're on a roll. Like we've got the basis, and we can just like finish this app in a good.
I'm out of town for the next week.
Okay. Soon. You can also like keep working on it and then come back to me, and then like we'll pick up from there or something like that. But
okay.
Whatever you prefer. All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. There's us. Hey, high five. Oh, the cameras are backwards.
Oh, it's backwards on your end.
Yeah, sweet. All right, I'm going to play the outro song. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks for participating in the chat. See you next time.